What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Movie Club. As always, we are your bad movie boys, Matt, Tommy, and Collie. Today, we're going to take you on a fantastic voyage with our award-winning series, A Lifetime of Pain. It's our series where we watch bad Lifetime movies and then talk about them. Today, we're going to slide, slippity slide back into the Stalked By My Doctor movies with Stalked By My Doctor 3, Patience, Revenge.
Everyone knows the third one's always the best.
We're going to see a lot of the same Lifetime tropes in this one. We're going to see pervert sees girl, pervert love girl, pervert try kidnap girl. But this movie does something a little bit more interesting than your typical Lifetime fare, and it brings back Lifetime's most infamous final girl, Sophie Green. Sophie's still having some trouble adjusting to life after everything that happened to her.
Well, we have to do something.
Yeah, we do need to do something. We need to put that man in jail.
That man is Dr. Albert Beck, and when we last saw Dr. Beck, he was actually in jail for multiple accounts of attempted murder.
They accused me of terrible things. They were trying to send me to jail for a long time, but I managed to persuade one of the jurors to see it my way, and she convinced everybody else on the jury that I was innocent.
The court finds Dr. Albert Beck not guilty.
And when the movie starts, we're actually not even sure if Dr. Beck is even alive, because it sounds to me like he's in heaven.
Well, I was thinking that maybe you and I might share a woman for a night.
She's like, I want to share my most terrifying, or my terrible past with you, and my most embarrassing moments.
She tells him, like, I had sex with a woman in college, and he's like, okay, so I'm gonna go dare, actually.
He tells her, and let's see if she gets as hot and bothered as he did when he found out her secret.
Like I said, it was all just a big misunderstanding.
Oh, gosh. Look what time it is. I'm gonna be late for that meeting.
No. Eric Roberts actually plays two characters in this movie. He plays Stocky Docky Albert Beck, that we all know and love, but he also plays Vacation Grandpa Dr. Beck, who is kind of like the chill, alcoholic version of Eric Roberts.
I'm gonna cut your tongue out.
Who are you kidding?
No, you won't.
She deserves it. No, she doesn't.
Dr. Beck somehow winds up with a teaching job at a university, and his first lecture is filled with about 99% women, which poses a problem because underage women are Dr. Beck's kryptonite. And within like one sentence of this new class, his brain just starts imploding.
It seems to fit the material that we'll be discussing this semester.
One girl shows up late to class, she ends up fainting in his arms, and you guys, we know what this means, right? We've seen this in every single movie so far. When Dr. Beck lays his hands on an unconscious girl, here we go. He starts getting gaga eyes for his student, Melissa, and does the totally normal thing when a man falls in love with a girl. He follows her around with his Canon camera, and he snaps pictures of her without her consent. It's amazing that Melissa did not see him, because some of them, she's like looking right down the fucking barrel of these photos.
That, and it's a well-lit quad.
If she didn't fucking see him looking down the barrel of that camera, she definitely is gonna hear him, because he's screaming loud as shit at himself in the quad.
Is that why you're out in the middle of the night following Melissa around with a camera? Because you're so honest?
I'm not having this conversation.
Delete the photos.
No.
We know he's not having an internal conversation because earlier in the movie, when he's having that conversation with himself again, in front of the woman who he just convinced he was insane and was trying to leave and threatened to cut out her tongue, she's like, who the hell are you talking to? So he's saying stuff aloud.
You heard what she said. She said she loved me unconditionally.
Who are you talking to?
She said the past.
I'm so, like, at the very least, you would have heard the shutter click from across the quadrant. It's the only sound.
Right.
Luckily for Sophie, Dr. Beck is like 70 years old, so he can't hear her 20 feet behind him taking pictures.
We see Sophie for the first time in this movie, and she sees what Dr. Beck is doing. He's starting the cycle all over again. And this is where things start to unravel for Dr. Beck. He actually receives a pretty rude birthday card at his office.
The problem is he doesn't know who the card is from because so many of his friends think he's a guilty pervert.
Well, we know who it is. It turns out it's his mortal enemy, Sophie Green, fresh in her Deftones phase. And she's attending the university he's teaching at with the intent on getting him fired and ruining his life. All-time prank here. Sophie starts her revenge tour by breaking into Dr. Beck's office and replacing all his teaching material with porn.
I'm paying $45,000 a year in tuition for this.
You're paying $45,000 a year to go to Southeastern Arizona University? Like, that's more, I looked this up, that is more than going to actual fucking University of Arizona. Like, is this university an MLM? Like, is that?
It's for the privilege of saying the school's motto, which is, see you later.
There's a clip here where he's looking at the security cameras and he like looks up and it's like the student housing thing. So he sees the student housing on her jacket and then he looks at the poster conveniently placed behind him and he starts searching student housing. And maybe that's why it costs $45,000 a year, because there's only like a handful of students who actually attend this university.
It's a page long. Like,
Exactly.
he doesn't even scroll a full page, and he's like, "Oh, it's Sophie Green," which means halfway down the page, he was already at G.
SEAU, we're the first college with a 30-to-1 teacher-to-student ratio. So your money's going to good use. Getting Dr. Beck fired for porn didn't work at all. So Sophie tries a more direct route where she hires 3 nerds to beat the shit out of him as he's leaving his classroom.
Hey, Dr. Kidnapper!
And this is so good. It's so funny because it's essentially, it's like she has this great grandiose plan and it fails horribly. And then she's like, all right, I'll just kill him. Just straight to kill him. Here, conveniently, comes Melissa. Dr. Beck is actually starting to think that, like, maybe, unlike literally every single other time this has happened, maybe this underage girl might actually be a little bit into it.
Do you have anyone at home to take care of you, your wife or your girlfriend?
Just me.
Well, here, give me your phone. This is my number.
Oh, yeah. Did we mention that this movie has a musical number?
The way the moonlight dances down your long hair.
Bet you didn't see that coming, because we certainly did not.
We probably should have caught a hint when in the opening credits it said opening or original song written by like these people. It's like, why would they do that in the opening credits?
We're not the kind of people who fall in love.
Turning over a new leaf on life, Dr. Beck finally has some non-weirdo pervert sense in him, and he actually went to a lawyer to draft up a contract that will turn a lawsuit if either party doesn't play nice between him and Sophie Green. It's actually nice to see that he actually took a legal route to this and isn't going to resort to wasn't that eyedropper there?
Oh my God, fentanyl. She's taking fentanyl.
I love how politely she overdoses too, because she like picks up her tray and is like thick and it's like you think like waiting for her to fall, like to knock it down. And she goes to the next table and sets it down and then falls over.
So Sophie gets kicked out of college, which is weird. I just want to say this, that I don't think they kick people out of college for overdosing on drugs. I think they just I feel like it would be like the university's responsibility to sort of try rehab first, especially if they're paying $45K a year. I'm not sure that kicking them out is the first thing they do. But yeah, I mean, Sophie gets kicked out and you bet your ass she is not going down without a fight.
Son of a bitch. They kicked me out of school because of you.
You want to throw me out of college just for doing a little bit of drugs? How about I give you a fucking reason to kick me out of college?
Yeah.
I'm going to strangle an old man with my bare hands. Even though he is the victim of this crime, Dr. Beck also gets fired. And we find out from Melissa, he gets fired because Sophie is a gross, poopy piece of shit.
They let me go.
It's because of that disgusting piece of crap, Sophie Green, isn't it?
So she says this, right? Melissa says this to Dr. Beck, and then Dr. Beck just has that Eric Roberts look to him, and then he goes, "You, want to get some coffee?" And like a goddamn hipster Jesus, Eric Roberts turns that coffee into wine, and he is now fully seducing Melissa. He takes her out for wine, which is illegal because they've established that she's 20 years old in this movie. So being illegal, but also kind of funny because they're probably like, oh, she wants a drink with her grandpa.
Yeah.
We'll give her. She could have a little sippy sip of wine.
I mean, it's not a Stalked by My Doctor unless he's breaking the law in some way, pursuing a girl.
Even more illegal, or should be illegal, it looks like with just a little bit of liquor in her, Melissa starts thinking about how she kind of wants a checkup from Dr. Love.
They call me Dr. Love. They call me Dr. Love.
You know,
somehow this goes well. Somehow everything is going well for Dr. Beck, which is like the first part, like the first point in the movie in our minds when we were watching it that we're like, something's fucking up here.
It's just suspicious.
Yeah.
Right.
Dr. Beck, like, this is working. And then we get to this scene.
Through that window, I had the most wonderful view. You forgot about that photo, didn't you?
Not a good look to bring a girl back to your place where you have a candid, framed photo of her on your bedside table.
Or is it just bold enough to work?
Now this is impressive.
And it does. It is somehow. Somehow.
It's a great photo. And he's like, yeah, I wipe it off every day.
That should have been the biggest red flag to literally anybody. If somebody is watching this and they're like, I don't know, if I went to somebody's house and they had a framed picture of me that I did not consent to taking on their bedside, that'd be kind of cute. No.
It's also
No,
like
it's
the final nail in the coffin of like, yes, this is not normal. Something's
Right.
This is a setup because I don't care how infatuated you are with somebody. If you walk into somebody's room for the first time, they have a framed photo of you. There's trouble in River City.
Is there trouble?
Shows how much you care about me.
Does it?
How much you love me.
Dr. Beck is still plugging all the holes he can, and Sophie walks up to the house like a goddamn robot programmed to sniff out old man boners. And just mid-vinegar strokes, Dr. Beck notices Sophie, and then this happens.
Join us.
But it turns out that that was just a dream. He did have sex with Melissa, unfortunately.
I've got to get to class. But last night was incredible.
Dr. Beck's dream was a little bit of foreshadowing, though, because the next day, when he's going to eat breakfast, out of nowhere, Sophie Green fucking hits him in the head with a baseball bat, ties him up, and then threatens to cut his dick off. This scene also eliminates any doubt that anybody has that Eric Roberts does not have input on the script for these movies.
Oh my God! It's so big. I'm gonna need a whole team of nurses just to lift it up.
Someone call King Kong because I found his arch nemesis, Godzilla.
What's a redwood doing out here in Arizona?
Hey, we better get Andre the Giant's pallbearers on the phone and 3 other guys.
After those hilarious and totally true comments about his cock, Melissa shows up at the perfect time because after all that old man sex, it kind of scrambled her brain and she forgot her homework for that day. And I just want to reiterate this, that an old man's sex partner had to come back to his house because she forgot her homework.
Albert! Who did this to you?
The sound design of that punch was fucking brutal. She chases Sophie off. They call the police, and the police assigned to this case fucking hate Dr. Beck's guts. It's so good. They like talk to him, and he's like, yeah, aren't you that weird doctor who kidnaps and like inappropriately touches underage girls? He's like, yeah, that's me, but I was actually acquitted.
You notice how he didn't say innocent. He just said acquitted.
He's like, I got off, and then he winked, and then he looks at Melissa.
I got off, and I was found not guilty.
There actually is a very funny thing. The officer says,
a lot of people in law enforcement were surprised when we heard you got off so easy.
Officer, ask my 20-year-old girlfriend how easy I get off, because it is not that easy at my age. So the cops who hate Dr. Beck's guts, they say they can't do anything because Sophie actually planned this, and Sophie has an alibi. Her mom lied and said that Sophie was with her the whole time. And since this was premeditated, her mom actually took Sophie's credit card and purchased something at the exact moment that Sophie was trying to murder Dr. Beck. Sorry, not murder, but at the exact time that Sophie was trying to cut off Dr. Beck's very large penis. I couldn't help but think that if the cops didn't hate Dr. Beck so much, maybe they would have, I don't know, checked Sophie's toll records.
Yeah.
Or like
right.
any cameras around the neighborhood. There's really only one thing to do at this point. Buy some security cameras. Maybe a good security system. Maybe get ADT. We
have to kill her.
I love his response to this too. He's like, Melissa, I'm a doctor. I save people, not kill them.
Tell that to his ex-wife's brother who he melted his face.
I'm a doctor. I'm not going to kill somebody. I took it out to heal, that's all.
Wasn't me.
And then they go to kill Sophie. And when they get there, Melissa is like, wait, you know what? This is actually insane. And Dr. Beck's like, yeah, I know. I've been telling you this. Yeah. I have been the voice of reason. It is actually a bad idea. And then Melissa is just like, well, now that you think it's a bad idea, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking kill her.
Fucking contrarian young people just happen to be different.
She runs up on Sophie and shoots her 4 times in the face. And then 3 times in the gas tank, which is not a euphemism. She actually shoots the car 3 times in the gas tank.
Shoot her butt.
Yeah. And then it fucking turns out that Sophie's car was made by J. Robert Oppenheimer. And it fucking goes up in flames. After that wildness, the detectives show up to Dr. Beck's house to interrogate him. And here's where, finally, the big twist is revealed. This whole thing was a setup? Ah, why? Why did she have sex with him, actually, then?
Because he's got a massive King Kong dong, that's why.
Dr. Albert Beck, you're under arrest.
You okay?
I don't know.
Somehow, Dr. Beck manages to not only inject both of them with fentanyl, but after he injects the first cop with fentanyl, he runs so goddamn fast he gets away from the second cop and loses him.
It's like a gazelle.
We get the funniest line delivery in any of the Stalked by My Doctor movies, which is Melissa saying, "He told me if I didn't have sex with him, he was going to cut my boobs off."
That was the most bizarre. Cause okay, hey, who the fuck says that? B, who's gonna believe that? And C, why would he do it? Why? What's his motivation to cut off her boobs?
And if I didn't obey him, he was gonna cut my boobs off or something.
I don't like to say that I feel sad or feel bad for Dr. Beck, but like,
then don't.
Yeah,
he's a little lost rapey puppy.
Yeah, I mean he's heartbroken, and he's like, what the hell happened? I thought that despite everything that has ever happened to me, I thought that this 20-year-old woman was in love with me for something other than my monstrous cock. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. What path is God going to lead me down now? And leads him down the stalking path, as always. And he stalks Melissa straight to a remote cabin. And guess what, everybody? Sophie Green's not dead. Sophie Green is fucking alive. I know. And she's wearing a stupid wig now that she looks like the mother of dragons. I think the question on everybody's mind is,
why did she do it? And then why did she do him?
Sophie and I have been best friends since we were 6 years old.
If you've been best friends since you were 6 years old, why didn't you show up to her funeral? They created this elaborate ruse in which Melissa stole a corpse. Sophie loaded it into her car. She then paid off a dental assistant to change the dental records of the corpse to her dental records. Then, so what happened is when Melissa went up to the car, she just shot a corpse. And then when she shot the gas tank, she actually just shot a bunch of C4. And then that blew up the car.
It was remotely triggered because you can shoot C4 and not detonate it. Because if she did shoot the C4, that's pretty fucking impressive.
And I just want to say, these movies make it seem like it's stupid easy to steal a corpse and change dental records.
I did this because I'm going to be a doctor. And you're an embarrassment to my profession.
You shouldn't have said that.
Dr. Beck ties them both up with the intention of swapping their hearts. Help me make sense of this.
A heart transplant is not a simple procedure. The time it takes you to remove one heart and like set it out and maybe put it on ice if you have a fucking freezer handy, like
it's in a kitchen.
One person's gonna be someone's gonna fucking die while you're doing this.
Melissa somehow gets an arm free and she smacks him in the head with a frying pan.
No. What's not somehow gets an arm free is he, instead of like actually tying her fucking wrist, he just like loops it around once. Like no fucking person is gonna like move their arm sideways to unloop. What the fuck is that?
Maybe I missed it, but I think didn't he just loop like her arms to her ankles? Because it's a kitchen island. You can't exactly go under and around it.
Unless it's like to the handle on the cabinet.
Right. Which
right.
So you'll untie me? You take me to the bedroom and love me like you used to.
I will.
Thank you.
After the surgery.
So the frying pan didn't really do anything. It just sort of startled him. But then Melissa finds the shotgun that Sophie bought and she points it right at his head. That gives him a little caution.
His reaction is she pops up over the bed and his reaction is, Oh.
So it's out of bullets, but she still hits him in the head with it again, with the butt of the gun. The police show up, and Dr. Beck has somehow pulled a Michael Myers where he's just no longer dead and laying on the ground. And like, I thought about this as I was writing this out, because I was like, oh, that's funny, because like at the end of Halloween, you know, Michael Myers is laying there just like Dr. Beck, and he gets up and leaves. And then I was like, now that I think about it, there's a lot of parallels between Michael Myers and Dr. Beck. I wrote a few of them. Both of them do a lot of stalking.
How does Samuel's view of fate differ from that of Costain?
When people run away from them, they just appear in front of them.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Both of them were in an insane asylum.
And they're both hung like fucking donkey.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We didn't get your name.
Okay, Sophie, don't say your real name. They think you're dead. Just come up with a fake name. Anything will do.
Susan Brown.
You couldn't think of anything better than S name color to come up with. Like, Stacy Red. Ah, Jesus Christ.
You're Sophie Green.
That goes nowhere. I guess like in the next movie we'll find out what actually happened, because I would assume that Sophie is probably in a little bit of trouble for what she did.
And the cops didn't really seem to give a shit, so they might just sweep it under the rug.
Isn't defiling a corpse like a pretty bad crime?
Depends on the corpse. If it's the corpse of some Scott Stapp knockoff, no one's gonna give a shit.
Still missing. Have you found this country singer man?
If found, call this number. No reward.
Dr. Beck gets away with it, and that's where the movie ends. It just straight up ends with like the Incredible Hulk scene of Dr. Beck just walking away. What did you think, and would it shock you guys to find out that this movie was filmed in 14 days?
I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Like, that, I was semi-invested at points, and I didn't expect to be anything but angry and confused. And the fact that it was filmed in 14 days, I mean, I guess that Jimmy John's motto is right, where speed fixes a lot of errors, because it seemed to be the shining one out of the bunch so far.
But he was talking about the drug, right? He wasn't talking about...
Yeah, no, it's not not the act of speed. Yeah. It's the experience of speed.
I kind of agree with you in that the first two movies were very funny bad, and this movie was actually I was actually on the edge of my seat, because we all knew that like he's getting punked. Right. But we were just waiting for Ashton to come out and say why. So we were all like really into this movie.
I had some issues with this movie.
What?
My main issue.
Nope, we're done. We're done.
No, review over. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Everybody loved the movie. You should see it.
I'm going to give it a bad review. I'm only giving it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, okay. But damn. Somehow that's your lowest reviewed movie out of all the ones we've watched.
I know, right? But my big thing is, did the second movie really happen? They referenced it, like they showed a clip of him pushing the mom off in the last one. But other than that, it made no mention of it. Like when he was talking to the woman in the very beginning and he told like what happened, he was talking about Sophie. Second movie, he ends up in jail, but like there's no mention of that. But the most egregious problem I had with that movie was, where were the Charlie Brown jerseys? They've done it in every other movie, and that's all I wanted.
I think what's important here is that they didn't resolve the second movie, which means it's probably going to be the focal point of the fourth movie.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with us during Stalked by My Doctor 3. We'll be back in a month with another movie that we're very, very excited for. We'll see you then. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Warning.
Ow, I sat on my balls because I'm so old.